What's the true value of a family legacy? Is it the money we inherit, the possessions we claim, or something deeper that ties us to those we love? This is the story of Tim, a young man whose bond with his grandfather, Henry, taught him that love and memories outweigh any fortune. It's a story for anyone who's seen family tested by greed, felt alone in cherishing what matters, or fought to honor someone's trust. For those of you over 40, you may know how inheritance can reveal a family's true heart, sometimes breaking it, sometimes healing it. Let's walk through Tim's journey, a tale of loss, betrayal, and the redemption that comes from holding on to what's truly valuable.
Tim was 24, a quiet accountant living simply in a small American town. But his summers were filled with wonder, spent with his grandfather Henry in a modest home, poring over coins, not ordinary change, but pieces of history. Henry taught Tim to read mint marks, spot imperfections, and hear the stories each coin held. "These aren't just coins, Tim," Henry said, his eyes twinkling. "They're moments in time." While his cousins played outside, Tim sat with Henry, cataloging albums, soaking in history. Those summers built a bond stronger than any vault. Henry passed away on a Tuesday, quietly as he had lived. By Thursday, his family descended on his small home like vultures. Cousins rummaged through drawers, grabbing lamps and trinkets. Aunt Pamela, bitter from a divorce, claimed a china cabinet as her heirloom. Uncle William, the eldest, a real estate man used to giving orders, eyed the dining table for his own house. Tim stood in the corner, clutching one of Henry's coin albums, his heart aching as his family carved up his grandfather's life. "The will hasn't been read yet," Tim said, his voice steady. "Shouldn't we wait?" Pamela brushed him off. "Relax, Tim. I'm just organizing." Tim felt like an outsider. He'd spent every summer with Henry learning about coins while his cousins, Chris and Brittany, were off having fun. William rarely visited, too busy with deals. Pamela hadn't called Henry in years, lost in her own struggles. But Tim called weekly, sat by Henry's hospital bed, held his hand in his final days. This house wasn't just things, it was Henry's world, every corner full of memories. Have you ever felt like the only one who cared about the person behind the possessions, not their price? Tim did, and it hurt. Friday morning, the family crowded into Lawyer Thompson's office, the air thick with anticipation. Tim sat quietly, thinking of Henry's laugh, his worn magnifying glass, the way he lit up over a rare find. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat. "To my son William, I leave the house, investments, and vehicles. To my grandchildren, except Tim, I leave the jewelry and antiques to be split evenly." Others received small sums. Murmurs filled the room. William nodded, pleased. Chris and Brittany whispered about the antique's value. Then Mr. Thompson looked at Tim. "To my grandson Tim, who spent every summer helping me catalog my collection, I leave my entire coin collection and related materials." The room went silent, then erupted in laughter. "Those dusty old pennies?" Brittany sneered. "Junk." "Good luck, Tim," Chris chuckled. William patted Tim's shoulder. "At least you got something, kid." Tim didn't flinch. He knew the coin's worth. The 1909's VDB penny, one of the rarest, is the 1916D Mercury dime, a tiny masterpiece. The 1893S Morgan silver dollar, a collector's legend. He'd learned from Henry while his family ignored them. Have you ever been underestimated by those closest to you, mocked for valuing what they couldn't see? Tim was, but he held a secret they couldn't imagine. Back at Henry's house, William directed movers, treating the place like a cleared-out warehouse. "Take what you want, Tim," he said. Tim found the coin collection where Henry kept it neatly filed in albums, each coin labeled with care. It took 3 trips to move it to his apartment, the albums heavy with memory. Tim ran his fingers over the pages, seeing Henry in every note. Monday, Tim called Carter's Coins, a shop Henry trusted. Mr. Carter agreed to assess the collection. "Bring everything," he said. "Your grandfather was a legend." Wednesday, when Tim arrived with the albums, Mr. Carter's eyes widened at a 1909 Nenez VDB penny. "Holy cow," he whispered, calling his partner Mrs. Lopez. They buzzed with excitement. "We need an expert," Mr. Carter said. "This is special." Friday, Dr. Harris, a top coin expert, spent 6 hours examining each piece. He looked at Tim. "Your grandfather had incredible taste. The 1909 SVDB, 1916D Mercury? 1893 is Morgan Low estimate. This collection's worth $1.8 to $2.2 million. Tim was stunned. $2 million. Those dusty pennies were a fortune. He thought of Henry, his patient voice explaining a coin's rarity. Their summers filled with stories, but word spread fast. By Monday, Brittany called, her voice sugary. I heard Grandpa's coins are valuable. We should appraise them as a family. Split it fair. Split them, Tim said. He left them to me. You called them junk. I was stressed, she said. Let's get a mediator. Chris wanted to talk. Pamela offered to research together. William left a voicemail. We need to protect family interests, Tim. The laughter was gone, replaced by greed. Have you ever seen a family change when they learn something's valuable? Tim was finding out. That afternoon, William, Pamela, and Chris showed up at Tim's apartment, uninvited. They sat like a jury, eyes cold. Pamela spoke first. There's a misunderstanding, Tim. What misunderstanding? Tim asked. Friday, Dr. Harris, a top coin expert, spent 6 hours examining each piece. He looked at Tim. Your grandfather had incredible taste. The 1909 SVDB, 1916D, Mercury, 1993's Morgan Low estimate. This collection's worth $1.8 to $2.2 million. Tim was stunned. $2 million. Those dusty pennies were a fortune. He thought of Henry, his patient voice explaining a coin's rarity. Their summers filled with stories, but word spread fast. By Monday, Brittany called, her voice sugary. I heard Grandpa's coins are valuable. We should appraise them as a family. Split it fair. Split them? Tim said. He left them to me. You called them junk. I was stressed, she said. Let's get a mediator. Chris wanted to talk. Pamela offered to research together. William left a voicemail. We need to protect family interests, Tim. The laughter was gone, replaced by greed. Have you ever seen a family change when they learn something's valuable? Tim was finding out. That afternoon, William, Pamela, and Chris showed up at Tim's apartment, uninvited. They sat like a jury, eyes cold. Pamela spoke first. There's a misunderstanding, Tim. What misunderstanding? Tim asked. Don't be selfish, William said. Grandpa didn't know the coin's value. He didn't mean for you to get rich. I spent every summer with him, Tim said, his voice rising. While you were golfing or vacationing, I was learning from him. That doesn't entitle you to a fortune, Pamela snapped. Chris stood, fists clenched. We can do this easy or hard, Tim. We're not letting you take it all. William's tone was icy. Oh, lawyers are expensive. Contesting a will takes years. Settle now 50/50ths. Tim took a deep breath. Grandpa was sharp until the end. You never visited. I called weekly, sat with him in the hospital. I was there because I loved him. You manipulated him, Pamela hissed. Get out, Tim said, his voice cold. They left, faces tight with anger. That night, Tim couldn't sleep, their words mixing with Henry's laughter. Then things got worse. Someone broke into his apartment drawers, dumped, furniture tossed. Nothing was stolen. The coins were safe in a bank. Tim called the police, hands shaking. Detective Adams dusted for prints. Family money brings out the worst, she said. We found Chris's fingerprints. They found lockpicks, gloves, and a list of coin dealers in Chris's car. He'd planned to steal the collection and said William and Pamela knew. Tim's chest tightened, his own family, plotting against him. By Friday, William contested the will, claiming Henry wasn't competent, and Tim influenced him. Pamela and Chris filed affidavits, lying that Tim preyed on an old man. The words cut deep. Brittany confronted Tim in his office parking lot. You're tearing this family apart. I'm honoring Grandpa's wishes, Tim said. You chose money over his memory. She slapped him. Tim didn't flinch. She stormed off. Have you ever been betrayed by family? Accused of something you didn't do? Tim was fighting to protect Henry's trust, but it was draining him. Friday, Mrs. Lopez at Carter's Coins called. Your grandfather left an envelope for you. Tim rushed over, heart pounding. Inside was a letter in Henry's neat handwriting. Tim, it read, if you're reading this, the collection is yours as I intended. You know its value by now. I didn't tell the others because I knew what they'd do. In safety deposit box 847 at First National Bank, there's proof I knew its worth. The keys taped under my desk's lock drawer. Don't let them take what's yours. but don't let it change you. Love, Grandpa. P.S. If things get bad, there's something else in the box. Tim's hand shook. Henry had foreseen his family's greed. That night, he slipped into Henry's old house, now William's. He found the key under the desk, but heard William and Pamela. If he gets that box, we're done, William whispered. Tim hid behind curtains, heart racing, then escaped through a window. The next morning, at First National Bank, Tim opened box 847. Inside were appraisals, receipts, and letters proving Henry knew the collection's $2 million value. But the real treasure was a video recorded 3 months before Henry's death. Tim watched, throat tight. Henry sat at his kitchen table, looking at the camera. I'm Henry Martino, September 15th. I'm recording this because I fear my family won't respect my will. My coin collection is worth about $2 million. I'm leaving it to Tim because he cared. William called my coins worthless. Pamela said no one cared about my hobby. Chris and Brittany laughed. Tim listened. Henry held up the 1893 S. Morgan dollar. I trust Tim to protect this legacy. These coins are history, not money. Tears filled Tim's eyes. This was about trust, their summers together, preserving what Henry loved.
What does it mean to honor someone you love? For Tim, it was keeping Henry's vision alive no matter the cost.
Tim showed the video to Mr. Thompson. This ends their case, the lawyer said. Henry knew the value. His choice was clear. Monday, William called, voice weary. We need to talk. Tim met him at a coffee shop. William looked exhausted, his suit wrinkled. I saw the video, William said, staring at his coffee. And my letters to Dad? I was cruel. I thought I was protecting him, but I didn't understand. I'm sorry. You dismissed him, Tim said. Tried to share what he loved and you shut him down. We're dropping the lawsuit, William said. The video Chris's arrest, we can't win. He's on probation, maybe community service. He's sorry, we all are.
William handed Tim an envelope.
Pamela asked me to give you this.
The letter read, Tim, I don't know how to apologize enough. We were wrong about you, about Dad. I was bitter after my divorce, drowning in debt. The coins seemed like a lifeline, but they were yours, earned through love. I hope you'll forgive us, Pamela.
Tim folded the letter, his heart softening. What about Brittany? He asked. She's processing, William said. She thought Dad wanted her to benefit. Tim thought of Henry's video, the pain in his voice, but also his patience, his wish for unity. Days later, William invited Tim to Henry's house, now for sale. Take anything sentimental. Tim found photos of them at coin shows and Henry's final year journal. The entries broke his heart. Tim called today, Henry wrote. Found a 1964 Kennedy $50. Told him to check for the proof version. He's getting good. William stopped by, only talked business. Didn't want to see my new Mercury dime? Wonder if they'll miss me or just my money. Tim helped with the collection. I know it's in good hands, Henry wrote. Finished updating the will. Thompson said to tell the family the collection's value. I disagreed. Let them think it's junk. I'll see their true colors. Henry knew what was coming. Tim closed the journal, tears blurring his vision. He wanted Henry's legacy to mean more than money. Dr. Harris called. Have you considered donating the collection to a museum to honor Henry? Tim donated 80% to a university museum, creating the Henry Martino collection. The rest coins like their first find, a 1943 copper penny he kept, worth $400,000 but priceless to him. The exhibit's opening drew collectors nationwide. William, Pamela, and Brittany came, their faces humbled. Pamela stood before the 1893 S. Morgan dollar. Your grandfather would be so proud. This is what he wanted. I think so too, Tim said. Brittany approached. Tim, I'm so sorry. I was greedy. Wrong. You earned this through love. Can we start over as cousins? Tim thought of Henry's wish for unity. I'd like that. Chris, on community service, sent a letter. Oh, I messed up, Tim. Greed took over. I'm sorry. It was honest. Surprising, Tim. Sometimes family fights lead to understanding. Tim's choice to share Henry's legacy brought them closer than money could. Have you ever seen a family break apart, then heal through forgiveness? Tim's family was trying. 6 months later, Tim left accounting to work at the museum, teaching kids about coins. One day, he spoke to a middle school class, bringing Henry's magnifying glass. Who's got old coins at home? He asked. Nearly every hand went up. Tim showed a penny on a projector. Let me show you what to look for. A boy brought a 1955 double-die penny, a rare error. Is it worth anything? The boy asked. Maybe, Tim said, but it's a story unique like you. The boy's eyes lit up, like Tim's had with Henry. The teacher said, "You're a natural teacher. Ever thought of doing this more?" The idea took root. The collection gave Tim freedom to follow his passion. His family healed. William and Tim had lunches, talking like family. Pamela volunteered at a nonprofit. Chris worked with Etrusc Youth. Brittany promoted the exhibit online. So that Christmas, they had their first peaceful family dinner. Tim held a 1964 Kennedy half-dollar. This was minted after Kennedy's assassination. Grandpa said it showed how fast history changes. William studied it. "I never saw coins as history." "That's how Grandpa saw them," Tim said. Moments in time, they talked about Henry's stubbornness, bad jokes, love for rare finds. For the first time, they weren't fighting. They were remembering him. Have you ever had a moment where your family came together? Not over money, but love? That night, Tim drove home, the coin in his pocket, Henry's words in his heart. The collection tested his family, exposing greed, but led them to something greater. Tim started collecting again, with Henry's care. Collector at the museum said, "I knew your grandfather. He said you were the only one who understood." "I learned from him," Tim said. "Then you learned from the best." Tim's journey began with a family torn by greed. The coins worth millions could have divided them forever. But through them, Tim honored Henry's true legacy love, curiosity, the joy of discovery. True wealth isn't in vaults. It's in shared stories, earned trust, teaching others to see the world as Henry did. What's the legacy you cherish? Tim's story reminds us that love and care aren't inherited, they're built, one memory at a time.